Yes, so putting God first in our relationship. You cannot say you're putting God first and you're fornicating. You cannot say that you're putting God first and you're sending each other nude pictures. You cannot say that you're putting God first and you're showing your cleavage in a video. Do you see? And it's important that when you start dating someone, you're also praying for the person's life. Because when you're with someone, their decisions will affect your decisions. So the way you pray for yourself and say, God, as I'm going to work in this new place, give me success, that's how you also pray for your spouse. Whatever thing they're doing in life, you should be aware of it. And it's not just you being aware of it, you also have to pray for them like you're praying for yourself. Hi, and welcome to my channel. If you are here for the first time, thank you for dropping by. In the past few videos, I've been talking about my journey from getting saved to meeting my husband, finally saying yes to dating him, and now I'll be talking about my journey from saying yes to dating him to finally getting married. Throughout this journey, I can say for a fact that I have carried God through it, and I learned from a YouTuber early on before I met my husband that it is important that you still pray for God's will even to your marriage day. Do you understand? Because I don't think there's anything as bad as being out of God's will for you. In my last video, I spoke about how I finally said yes to dating him. After saying yes, we continued talking, we continued knowing each other. I ensured that I asked important questions before allowing feelings come in. Okay, because I understand that once feelings come in, you are unable to think with your head, you think with your heart, because you're already liking this person. So before I started liking him, I started asking the important questions as to his vision, as to his calling, as to his perception of certain things, just to be sure what I was entering into, about his family. We spoke about my family, all right? There was something he asked of me, because he knows, well, from our conversations, he could tell that I was more of a reserved person and an introvert. A few times he'd ask what I thought about him socializing with people. My husband is very social, and then I told him that, to be honest, I did not mind. I had no idea that my husband was this social until I got married. He is very social, but it was very important to him. Do you see? So it's important to ask these questions, because there are some ladies or wives that may not enjoy, may not appreciate, or may not be able to manage a lot of ladies around their men. I don't know how else to explain this. So of course, now that we are married, it has reduced, but I have at the back of my mind that my husband is doing ministry, so I expect people to reach out to him, people to seek counseling from him, and I'm honestly okay with it. And because I had said when we were dating that I was okay with it, I cannot come in the marriage and not be okay. Do you understand? Of course, there are boundaries that are set because we are married. Boundaries like no late night calls, counseling classes, and all of that. And if there's anyone he's counseling, I know the person. Do you understand? Just setting those boundaries in place so that we don't create room for the devil to come and walk in our minds. Do you get it? So going back to my journey from saying yes to dating to finally getting married. Yeah, so we continued to know ourselves even more. Continued asking each other things about each other. I think we met 3 times again before we finally got married physically, because it was a long distance relationship, but we knew each other very well, because we spoke so much. We spoke every day, there were always conversations, and they were not just around how are you, what are you doing, have you eaten. No, they were more intentional questions. What happened in your day? Okay, what this happened at work, what happened, how did you react to it? But I'm not gonna ask you directly how did you react to it. I'll be like and then I'll you know how you're trying to get information from someone to know how their reactions are in certain cases. So I could ask like and then what happened, so now what did you now say? Do you understand? So that way I'm getting to know his reactions to triggering issues and all of that, just allowing wisdom to lead you. And I think because I was strong in praying to God, God was just really leading us, both of us. So because I was always praying for my husband, my then, should I call him fiance now? My then boyfriend, God started showing me things about his future. God started showing me. Father, I remember there was a particular night, the entire night, I was shown what he would do in the future and asked if I was okay with it in that dream. And I said, in the dream, I said yes to everything they were asking me, but it was a vision. It was a night vision. And I believe that happened because I was always praying for him, and I was always praying for God's will in his life. And it's important that when you start dating someone, you are not only praying that it is God's will, but you're also praying for the person's life. Because when you're with someone, their life becomes your life. Their decisions will affect your decisions. You understand? So the way you pray for yourself and say, Lord, as I'm traveling. So the way you pray, so the way you pray for yourself and say, Lord, as I'm writing this exam, I pray that I pass it. I pray that you lead me through. Or you say, as I'm going to work in this new place, guide me through, give me success. That's how you also pray for your spouse. Whatever thing they're doing in life, you should be aware of it. And it's not just you being aware of it. You also have to pray for them like you're praying for yourself. Even more than you're praying for yourself. Because the decisions they make will affect you. So with God showing me all of that, and to be honest with you, his pay, his what he earned at that time was far lesser than what he's earning now. So to be honest, I don't know how for some reason I was not focused on what he was earning at that point. I think it's because I was fully informed of God's will for his life. Does it make sense? I was fully informed. Of course, he was working. He had a pay that was not bad. But looking at it now, looking back, so you were earning this and I said yes to you. So it just goes on to say that, I was very focused on doing God's will. And I think because God really enveloped me in him. And, for some reason, my mind was not even in his pay. My mind was not in his pay. So after I said yes to dating him, I think maybe our conversations changed. Maybe they pretty much remained the same, but it became more official that we were in a relationship. We continued to know each other better. We set boundaries in our relationship. We never did any sex talk, sex conversations, showing body parts and all of that. Because for me, I would not want God's child to fall into sin in his mind. Do you understand? To think in a sinful way because of me. By virtue of me, someone else is falling into sin. That's just how I think of it. So because of that, I did not. So what we did was that we basically shared videos of one another. We did a lot of video calls. Of course, we were already attracted to one another at this point, but there were just boundaries in place because that is what God would have us do. Do you see? Truly fearing God. Is it easy? No, it's not easy, but it is very doable. Self-control is one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit, so it is very doable. You can just decide not to do those things. It's the world that makes it look like the norm to do, but you don't have to do them. To be honest, you can just be pure in your relationship, truly, by the grace of God. And it took us 2 years from our meeting date to getting married. I can remember that there was one time I came to Lagos I traveled over to see him, and I pecked him. That was the farthest we ever did. I gave him a peck and he looked shocked, and I immediately said I was sorry, because I was like, this look you're giving me, it looks like it's not appreciated, but that was and I never did it again. I just gave him a peck, and because I felt like it, but I just maintained my composure. And I never did that again. A peck on his cheek, by the way. That was as far as we ever did. It was not easy. It was by God's grace and self-determination. Yes, so putting God first in our relationship, putting God first. Because you cannot say you're putting God first and you're fornicating. You cannot say that you're putting God first and you're sending each other nude pictures. You cannot say that you're putting God first and you're showing your cleavage in a video. Do you see? So if you're putting God first, truly put God first. Do you understand? Really set him before you. Set him before your relationship. And just watch him, create ways for you. So, yeah. And then through to, a few months before we got married, we had to plan the marriage. Work became very tedious for me. I had to do night shifts and all of that. But we still maintained communication. I can't remember any break in communication. We still maintained it. We had a few quarrels here and there, arguments, but There's no relationship that goes without arguments. So we had ways of sorting them out and all of that. We had accountability. I was accountable to my auntie. My auntie is a woman of God. She's a reverend, a pastor. So, I would share my concerns with her regarding certain things, and she would advise me. So we had accountability in our relationship. We put God first. We ensured that, we pleased Him in our relationship. And we always prayed. Maybe not always prayed together, but, individually we prayed for one another, and we prayed about what we were going to enter into. And we planned towards it. I was getting married does not mean that I'll finish everything in my accounts, because I was working, right? So I was saving as well, but that's just me, right? I did not want him to pay for everything for the wedding. I wanted to contribute. He would have paid for all those things himself, but I wanted to impute something because I was working, right? So, so I gave an amount. I contributed an amount just because I wanted to, not because he asked for it, because I wanted to contribute to it, right? And I believe that God was pleased with it. So we got our families involved. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but after we started dating, I spoke to my parents about him. And initially my father wasn't so sure, but later on he sent some people or some person to go to his hometown and find out about his family. And then the responses were that his family was okay, a good and reputable family. That is how my daddy consented to the marriage and all of that. And yes, we got married. We had a traditional marriage and a white wedding.